my junior year of college. I made a piece for my wife for her graduation gift. Was the first actual piece of furniture that I made. And it was making that I really discovered that, this is something I love. Like, I could make a career out of this. Looking back on my childhood, I grew up, my dad was a business owner. He owned a construction company, and so I grew up in kind of the entrepreneurship, business owning atmosphere, and that's really what piqued my interest at a young age, was kind of seeing the benefits of that, my dad being able to have some more time at home and being able to spend more time with us. Me particularly in the wood shop is kind of where we spent a lot of our extra time. Building forts, tree houses in our backyard, that sort of thing was really where my interest in woodworking started. And just seeing things go from a pile of materials into something that's useful.
Sam was always inventing things, it seems like. He was always a creative kind of somebody. Mostly weapons, it seems like. He was creating potato cannons and various things like that, building forts. It is amazing that he didn't break bones. I don't think we ever had to take him to the emergency room, but he was always jumping out of trees and that kind of thing. He did run through a glass door one time, made a loud noise, but didn't get hurt, so he's been real fortunate that way. I had a feeling that he was going to lean towards doing something with his hands and making stuff. I mean, he's always been that way. I mean, he did fine in school as far as books and stuff like that, but he always enjoyed working in the shop and always had fun with him in the shop.
I'd grown up self-taught, reading magazines, books, that sort of thing. So I knew how to design and build from a plan. But outside that, I was kind of lost. I didn't know how the joinery actually worked, kind of the theories behind what makes a good piece of furniture. And so we decided we needed some more training. And that's when we settled on going to a designated intensive furniture school that was just for furniture design and building. So we looked all over the place. This is, the year after graduating, and we settled on a school in Scotland, just outside Edinburgh, called the Chippendale International School of Furniture. Choosing to study overseas, one, it was a great school. It had great reviews. It looked like a really good program. But two, you also have the advantage of being surrounded by a bunch of international students. So, there's students from pretty much all the continents. There's, Australian student, New Zealand, other European students, that sort of thing, where you kind of get a full feel of the cultural design aspects from those different countries that I wouldn't have gotten at a school in the US necessarily. Like the French student brought in French elements of design from French furniture that she had studied at her university, and that sort of thing. So it was really cool to kind of be able to see that and be able to blend and kind of expand, the base of knowledge that I had, to be able to include those kind of elements that you wouldn't necessarily think about, as well as different tools and stuff, different hand tools and the techniques to using it vary, from country to country. So it was kind of cool to be in that atmosphere with people from all over the world to kind of broaden my base of knowledge that I had starting out. The construction company that my dad ran was started back in the early 1900s with my great-grandfather. He started kind of just as a handyman. He'd go around fixing odds and ends, building small buildings, that sort of thing. And my granddad is the guy that kind of took it to the next level. He built the business, hired employees, that sort of thing, kind of grew it to what it is. And then my mom's father, who's still living, he's also a woodworker. So they kind of woodworking from both sides of the family that kind of came in. This is actually his shop that we're in now.
Yeah, well, I've been interested, I guess, in woodwork ever since I was in grammar school. We had manual training classes in the school I went to, and they had a little woodworking class, and that green thing was the first thing I ever made, and it was made by hand, all hand tools, no power tools, no nothing. And it took a long time to make it, but that got me started. Had a good instructor, and he loved teaching the kids, what he knew about woodworking, and he knew a lot. And then I went on to high school, and they had machines, so that made it a little better, and I made stuff there. So that's how I got started in it, and it just grew from there. And the first project I had with Sam was he wanted to do a little woodworking, and we made a clock. So that was the first project with Sam. He has done well, I think, and we're still building stuff.
I think I need to cut it first. So I think I need to put an angle across from like point to point to get what I need. Yeah. So once I cut this piece off, I can tape it back on potentially and do it. I think that's what I gotta do in order to get it right, because I can't really figure out how it's gonna connect until I get rid of this part here. Wish I could do that actually. Yeah, I think I might do that. I'm basically cut off the sides until it gets to right here and leave the base square. That way I can see how the top's gonna interact with that top. Do you have an iPhone by chance? Could I FaceTime you? Would that be alright? I have a question in the potential design alteration that I want to run past. Yeah. You think connecting at about that point looks good to you? Yeah, like a photograph. It kind of comes out from like the touch point up to like towards the front. So we can do that, or we can do like a wood piece to kind of make it all. We can talk through that later. Yeah, that's all I need. I just want to run that by you. And then, yeah, I'll keep you updated.
All right, sounds good.
All right, thanks.
Thanks.
Bye. He likes it like this. You cut that.
Well, when I look at furniture now in the furniture store, I cringe. Most of it's made in China, and the woodwork, the skills that they use are really bad, I think. I'm surprised it'll hold together for 10 years, But I like to see the handmade furniture, I like to see the tongue and grooves and all that kind of stuff, all the fancy joints and like that. And the furniture will last forever if it's made like that.
One that we have at our house that I really like is a game table that Sam made while he was in Scotland. It sort of brings out a lot of things because Sam, he's always been, and again, this comes through I think my father's side is sort of a gadget kind of guy. He likes to make things that are sort of different. And he made a game table that's got little hidden drawers and hidden compartments in it. And we've got that at our house. So that's a sort of a special piece. But it's amazing to me. He is, it just seems like he gets an idea. I enjoy making things if I have a plan, but he doesn't seem to need a plan. I mean, somebody has an idea that they'd like a table that's typically unique. A lot of his business is somebody has a strange shape or a strange need, or maybe just something you can't find in a store, and he can sort of capture what it is that they're wanting and actually make it. And that's really interesting to me how that works. I'm not an artist, but I think he is.
I think nature, things like rock formations, just those sorts of things kind of inspire me. It's kind of interesting because it's all custom built. So a lot of times people come to me with, they have ideas of their own. So sometimes there's no design from my part. Sometimes someone comes like, here, I want this. And I've had an architect come and is like, I've designed this piece of furniture, can you build it for me? Type of thing, which keeps it interesting. But a lot of times it's pulling elements from different things. I like studying the history of furniture, so particularly like the early 1900s, so 1920s, 1940s, 50s. It's kind of my favorite time period of furniture, and seeing kind of the progression from kind of the arts and crafts movement into mid-century modern pieces of furniture. So as far as designers go, Sam Maloof, he's kind of a more contemporary designer. He's really good. He did all sorts of things with, particularly rocking chairs was his thing. He had an iconic rocking chair that he designed and built. So he's one of my, I guess, heroes of the trade. But yeah, so time period is kind of what I look at, kind of seeing the whole culture, where they kind of are going, and seeing how, there are different designers that kind of push that through. It starts with the designers and then the culture kind of picks up on it. There might be a chair from the 1800s that someone's like, I like the legs on this chair. Can we incorporate that into something a little more modern, but using those elements? So that's what I love to do, is kind of mix time periods, or mix different elements from different pieces that people might have. A lot of it comes from going into the client's house and seeing what they already have, or if it's a new construction, seeing the architecture that they're using, the way the arcs on the doors, or the way windows and like in the room, how the light's going to be hitting the piece of furniture, that sort of thing. So a lot of it's inspired by the atmosphere that's going to go into, and I think that's how you create a piece that really fits. Driving to Atlanta is super easy. You just go 290 miles down 85. And then turn left. We're good.
In fact, what you can do is just swing all the way around. Go back out. I'll do later. Right. Do you have a furniture gone? I do. Okay, great. Yeah.
Well, I don't know how well it's going to work on.
Well, I mean, yeah, we'll have to just keep it up. Oh, excellent.
There.
Beautiful. Excellent. Man, that is awesome. It is beautiful.
The way the legs turned out there.
Yes. It still smells too. You can smell the finish on it. I'm Dr. Jeff Ham. I'm the senior pastor here at Christ Church Presbyterian in Atlanta, right in the heart of Atlanta. And we recently built this sanctuary, but the furniture was lacking. It was tried to match. I think the architects tried to construe a modern design, and so the lectern was plexiglass. The table, the Lord's table that is, had a different genre of architecture. It's very rustic, and so we wanted everything to match. And so we wanted a modern-looking lectern, but one that wasn't plexiglass, one that was beautiful. Because the lectern, as it is in the sanctuary, symbolizes the very Word of God preached, and so I have a high view of that. Yeah, and to even back up, the whole sanctuary architecture is very important, because it either contradicts the message or it adds to the message. And so that's what I think this furniture helps lend toward, is beauty, reverence, respect, and respectability. And so I think that the furniture adds to that.
It's kind of cool to kind of come from that line of people that were hands-on, kind of worked with their hands, were woodworkers, construction, that sort of thing. So there's 3 or 4 generations of people from both sides of the family that have kind of been the hands-on woodworking type of people.
Just looking back more than looking forward, I remember when I was little, my dad building a boat in our garage, and it was like a little ski boat kind of thing, and he built a second boat. It was a flounder boat. And just recently, Sam basically rebuilt a boat that was very similar to the one my dad built. So sometimes I can sort of look back and see things that my dad did, and then look forward and see things that Sam built, and they're very similar. So that's sort of an interesting kind of link, I guess. But like you say, Sarah's dad is like a second dad to me, and he's been a woodworker forever.
The guys I worked with that built furniture and stuff, they were nice fellows. They were easy to get along with. They were not easily irritated, or they were just, you could talk to them, they'd help you, you'd help them.
Sam's kind of one of those people, don't you think?
Yeah, I think he is too. Yeah, he takes pride in his work, and he don't turn out anything that's not first class. I wish I had one of everything he's made, particularly that table, game table.